Hi class, so the last video we talked about how to make a box plot, and one thing that we did that's actually a little bit different than what the textbook talks about and what I've heard in other places as well is about these whiskers. So these whiskers aren't always go to the min and the max. Sometimes they stop before that and then identify sort of points beyond that as what we call outliers, right? So there's sort of an easy formula to figure that out. These whiskers can't be any longer, like from here to here, than 1.5 times the inner quartile range. All right, so what I've done here, this is a new tab considering outliers, is we have this inner quartile range that we calculated before, and then I just took 1.5 times that number. So all that means is each of these lines, right, these little whiskers can't be any bigger than what 1.5 times the inner quartile range. So then I have to make a couple changes down here, right? So if you remember, in fact, you can click on this. Didn't quite work. Yeah, but these guys, if you remember from the previous video, are here we go. Are these values right here. So I actually changed this value a little bit. So before it was just this C4 minus C34, right? So it was just the min, distance from the min to the first quartile. Here's the first quartile minus the min. But then I added something different. I said, okay, well, really, it's if that number is, really, really big, then we can't use it, right? In fact, we can only use this 4.5. Right, so what would that mean is that if the min is, say if it's like, in this case, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but if it was like negative 10, then 2 minus negative 10 is, 12, right? So that's 12. So that would say that this, so we're actually looking at the small one. This one right here, which should be 12, should be the distance of 12, would be way down here. Well, our rule says it can't be that big. It can only be 4.5. So that's why I can put in this little min. So this was our formula before, right? So in fact, let me go tell you exactly what it was. Let's just write it over again. So here it is. I'm going to copy that and then just paste it over here, and then I'll rewrite this for you. All right, so what I did was went into the formula here, and I said, okay, well, that's great. I want the minimum of that value, whatever we had done before, or this 4.5, right? So this 1.5 times the inner quartile range, whatever smaller. Copy that, and then update the rest of those. And then this other one, the distance from the third quartile to the max, it's the same thing, right? So this is, let's erase these so you can see what it was like before. Like this, right? So it said something like the distance from the third quartile to max, that's this whisker right here, this long whisker. Right, so the max is 12, third quartile is 5, so it's 12 minus 5, which equals 7, right? And what I'm saying is, well, it can't actually be any bigger than 4.5. Okay? So there's actually something going on there. It shouldn't be. So then I say, well, it should be, again, the min of that number, or 4.5. Right, see what happens as soon as I do that. It actually updates this whisker. This whisker is now shorter. Right, so it's Control Z. Whisker's big. Control is it Y? Redo. Yep. It's small again. So copy that guy over. I think the rest of these are already there. Right. So that's what's happening. So now I have this updated. So I also kind of added something different in here too. I wanted to see how, if I could figure out how many outliers are here. Right. So in this case, actually, there's this number 12. This is an outlier. Right. 12 is an outlier according to our data. But there's no way to sort of pick that up in this data, or in this chart right here. In fact, the add-ins that you get to make these little, these box plots for Excel will do this automatically and then plot little, little dots right here for the outliers, right? And so that's what you would see. If you see little dots, those are specifically outliers. We would say outliers, right? So say we can kind of count how many are there, and then I'll kind of go eyeball it and see. So I have this little formula where I said, okay, I'm going to do this COUNTIF function. Right, and I'm going to go up here and count, this data up here. And my criteria is, well, if one of those data is greater than the third quartile. Whoops. Yeah, here it is. Greater than 4. Let's see, what did I do? Greater than the first quartile. That's one. This one. F2. Greater than the, and I put greater there in quotes. And then I have to use this little ampersand sign. This is sort of coding. If I'm going to do a criteria that has an inequality or an equality inside of it, I have to do this kind of coding. I have to put quotes around greater than or less than or sort of not equal to. I can put that in there. And then before I put any other sort of cell references, I have to use this ampersand, right? So it's like, and great. So greater than this third quartile, computer. Here we go, third quartile plus inner quartile range, right? So what does that mean? So that means this third quartile, so that's this guy right here, plus the inner quartile range, that goes all the way up to here, right? It's saying if there's anything bigger than that, anything bigger than whatever this number is right here, which it looks like is going to be what, like 9.5, right? That's exactly. If it's bigger than that, I just want you to count it. Tell me that there's one there. So that's what it did. It counted 1. So this is doing the same thing. It's just doing the opposite. It's saying, okay, if there's any number that is less than this number minus 4.5. So in this case, minus 4.5 is like way down here, or some number smaller than that. Count it. So in order for that to happen, we'd have to have like I don't know, like a negative 10, right? So if I put negative 10 in here, then I get 1 right here. This got updated too, so now that now it will go down to 4.5, right? But it won't go any further. So we have negative waiting time, which would be amazing. This is what that would mean. It would mean when you walked in to get your security clearance, so through your security, you go through the little scanner. It would actually be a time machine, and it would go back in time. So you'd walk through, you go back in time, but you would be through the security clearance. I think this is something we might want to think about a little bit more seriously. All right, so that's it. So if you wanted to put one more thing, to actually put these little dots in here, the only way I could figure out how to do it, there's probably someone smarter than me to figure out how to do it, but let me show you what I did. If there's not too many of them, you can go over here into design, layout, and say I want to insert a little shape right there, right? And then we'll let you. So we have one that right here, like at 12, right? So there we go. I inserted him at 12. So now your outlier is there. So you could do this if you just have a handful of outliers. If you have a ton of outliers, it's going to be a lot of work, and you might want to go get that add in. All right, that's it.